Welcome back. It's another edition of Breaking Down the Big Sexies with John Ledyard and Brandon Thorn, both of NDT Scouting. And Brandon, we just dubbed it that. We went over Isaiah Wynn's tape and we were like, we didn't really have a name for this. You know, what should we call it exactly? And I was like, why don't we just call it Breaking Down the Big Sexies? Because that's what we're doing. So Isaiah Wynn was fun. His article's up on NDT Scouting if you guys want to see that and check out our breakdown on him. A lot of good things. Today we're talking about two of the more polarizing offensive tackles in the class because a lot of people are in, apparently NFL teams are excited about the athleticism, the length, the size, the frames, the movement skills of Kolton Miller from UCLA and Brian O'Neill from Pitt. But their tape leaves a lot to be desired technically, footwork-wise, efficiency, all those types of things that are going to matter more in the NFL for athleticism. So we can't put the cart before the horse in these situations and lead with athleticism. It's nice to have, but other things matter a lot more for offensive line play, and it sometimes can be hard at the NFL level to get these guys fully developed. So we're going to touch on some positives too, but we're also going to touch on some negatives and why we're concerned about Kolton Miller and Brian O'Neill if they end up being drafted as high as they're expected to be drafted. The expectations for them are going to be kind of through the roof, contribute right away type of stuff, and they may not be players that are in position to do that.
Yeah, I think that's really well said. I mean, we'll add more to it as we go along and watch the film, but I think you summarized it well, like with Miller and O'Neill. I think they're both polarizing prospects, and everything that you said about them that is positive, I agree with. You know, their athleticism, length, size, frame, and movement skills, all those things are impressive for sure, but to varying levels for each guy. And then there's also some, like you said, technical inefficiencies that are there definitely in both guys. And we'll just go ahead and just start right away and just show you one right off the bat here from Kolton Miller. So this is going to be all him versus Stanford. And right here, he's going to face a speed to power move from this pass rusher, and he just isn't really ready for it, and he's kind of late with his hands. And the guy winds up getting into his frame, getting into his chest, and just kind of driving him back. And he's unable to anchor totally effectively. He does attempt to anchor, but it's just not a great anchor. Mm-hmm. So you see that? Sorry. This is taking a minute. Sorry, dude. Maybe we can edit this or something. This is weird, man.
That is strange.
I think maybe because the file is so huge, but I was just playing this before I called you, and it was working. So I don't know if just too much is going on my computer. That's probably what it is. I'm just going to exit out and just open it again. I just said exit full screen, and it's taken forever to even just get out of the full screen. Oh man, now it's all jacked up. All right, this should work now. There we go. All right, so here we go. Just speed to power right here for Miller, and you're going to see him get into his chest there and just kind of driving back. I have a slow-mo right here as well for us.
Yeah. You could see his hand. I mean, his hand placement, there's not really a strike at all.
Right, he's really late with his hands.
Right. I mean, he doesn't even attempt to strike really there.
No. And, you look right here, look how far off the ground his outside foot is, his inside foot is.
Yeah.
I mean, he never is able to recover there, and he gets pushed into Rosen.
And those are the kind of reps that people will be like, oh, he didn't get pancaked or whatever. Like, he anchored, he fought it off, blah, blah, blah. I mean, in the NFL, man, you're going to be on your butt. Like,
yeah, or you're just going to get knocked back faster and quicker into the quarterback.
Right.
Either one. But I don't know much about number 33 here. I know he's 6'5", 236, just for context. I wrote down the sizes of a lot of their opponents, but other than that, he did good against Miller, so but a lot of guys did. Yeah. So I'm not sure. This false step is just, it kills him.
Yeah, and let's talk about that false step. Yeah, that false step's a big part of his evaluation. We both saw it, yeah.
Yeah. And right there, I mean, he's able to fend off guys pretty well because he is really athletic and he can recover pretty well, but he puts himself in positions that are just terrible. I mean, this false step right here is a totally wasted step. That's just literally just a step out of his stance. It doesn't gain him ground in the direction that he needs to go. So he has to totally recover his feet and actually like drop back. And, right there is just a bad technical offensive line play for sure.
He pretty much has to abandon all proper form in order to make blocks a lot of the time on speed rushers, I thought. Exactly. He's basically going into survival mode way too early. And it may work for him on occasion, but we're looking for ways to sustain success against a higher level of competition. That's just not going to happen. Exactly. He's going to get speed, bend, dip reps, rushes on him all the time because of reps like that.
And see that when his set gets stressed like that, and he has to just abandon technique, then it leaves him even more susceptible to the inside counters and speed to power because he's thinking about it, and you could see it in the film that he's trying to cover that, and then it leaves him susceptible inside, and then he tries to cover inside, and it leaves him susceptible to the outside rush, and it builds off each other.
Yep, that's a good point.
This is what you like to see from him right here. This backside cutoff in number 20. Good athletic ability, good angle out there to the second level, and really good quickness to cut him off. And he winds up springing a big run here because of this block.
Yeah, that's really good. So, and that's where his positive traits shine up. If you want an area where athleticism is really helpful, it's obviously on second level space type blocking, and we'll get to that with Brian O'Neill too. I know we both like a lot of the things he does on the move out on the perimeter and stuff, so it's good arrow to have in the quiver. It just isn't the one that you can win with consistently in any area of offensive line play.
Yeah, I mean, you can win. You could do this, I guess, at the NFL level, block to the second level with success. But I don't think that his errors are going to overcome, or his technical deficiencies are going to overcome this positive. You know what I mean? Or I do think that they'll outweigh them, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because this is a good aspect of offensive line play, backside run blocking. But if you can't pass protect consistently, it kind of a moot point. Another one here. Nice. He gets across Harrison Phillips' face right here, who's at the 3 technique.
And this was something for Harrison Phillips fans, or not fans, I guess, anybody who's evaluated him. I thought that this was a consistent issue for him on tape, was recognizing and staying play side on reach blocks for zone runs. And I think that shows up here obviously too, but this is kind of one of Harrison Phillips' weakest points, I think, and one of Kolton Miller's strongest points is the ability to reach that play side shoulder and keep your hips moving and everything like that.
Yeah, exactly. This is definitely a good block by Miller, but he gets help here from the left guard, but still he gets across him really quickly, really good closing speed at the end here to get across. He gets his hand on his face mask a little bit. It's not technically perfect, but it's just good athletic ability right here. And you'd like to see him, maybe do a little more at the end there, but he gets across his face, and that's really kind of like the goal.
Right.
For him,
if everything else is on point on that run in terms of the blocking and the read, and everything by the back, that should be good enough. But you're right. You'd like to see him latch and sustain a little bit better once he gets his hips around. I think with better hand placement, a little more control he could have there.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, his hand usage in general isn't super good. I mean, in the run game, it's a little better, but pass game, this is actually a positive, again, him pass protection. You'll see, I think this is the one where the guy winds up spinning at the end, but good job. He gets into his chest initially. I like how he gets that inside hand off of him and re-leverages and does a really nice job of really solidifying that pocket and giving Rosen a comfortable blindside to throw out of. He's nice and protected over there. Yeah, that's not the spinning one I was talking about, but that's a pretty good rep right there,
right?
I think.
And when his strike timing's on point, he gets a hand in there. It's nothing crazy impressive, but he's able to stop that upfield progress because he's able to initiate first contact even with that outside hand. He's able to kind of dictate the terms a little bit more. When he's in that situation, things work out a little bit better for him, I think. And, again, playing with that knee bend and, kind of making sure that base is solid and wide enough, but not too wide that you totally lose all mobility. I think those are good things for him. Consistency is the big thing. It's hard to get these things down playing against the better level of competition and NFL speed at the next level. So, it's why ideally you would have loved to see a guy like Miller stay in school another year, but that wasn't in the cards for him, obviously. But that's the kind of stuff he could have mastered. Some of this stuff. Now he goes to a level of play where, he may go to a team in the first round that needs him to start right away, and all of a sudden the level of competition gets insane. And how hard is it to develop good habits when you didn't have them? Against that level of competition, I think that'll be one of the big questions.
Definitely, I totally agree. And right here, it's kind of interesting. He has a good rep, and the false step is kind of minimal here. It's not as bad. He sets more flat out to him, and he gets out there. He doesn't have to abandon his technique like that one rep we saw. And you like to see this adaptability, I guess, because the guy tries the exact same thing, and this time his set is a little different, and the result is obviously much different.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So good rep there. And these are in succession as well. So this is from the beginning of the game to throughout. So. But yeah, here's kind of the most predominant thing that I see on film with him that's concerning. You got a wide 9 technique, and he has tight end alignment help here, but still the false step really hurts him, and he winds up losing half man leverage and then failing to anchor because of that. And right here, Rosen again, he has enough time to hit that back foot and pause for a second and still get the ball off. But still, this false step right here is pretty bad.
Mm-hmm.
You see it right there.
Yeah.
He's able to recover a lot better than the previous time he false stepped, but it causes him to fall behind right here. He's behind the rusher right here.
Right.
You know what I mean? He doesn't have half-man leverage at all. He lost, as far as getting to a set point, he wasn't able to do that.
And the running back's release helps a lot too,
Exactly. He had double help on this one.
Right.
The tight end alignment help and then the running back help for sure definitely helped him more, but that caused the rusher to go inside, and that kind of caught him off guard and blew him up a little bit. And, the rusher wasn't able to sustain that rush, but if he were, Rosen still would have the ball off, but this would probably look worse.
Right.
But he, it's just, from a first round tackle or something, it's just not like some of the rumors we've heard and stuff. I just don't see like the consistency there,
Again, it becomes like, how do you sustain success in the NFL? Well, let's imagine the tight end isn't there and the running back isn't there on that rep. He's getting beat a lot quicker.
Right.
Let's imagine the ball doesn't come out. This ball's coming out, boom. It's quick. So he survives this one, but again, it's like, how are you setting yourself up to sustain success? Because another situation against a wide 9, you're not going to have the benefit of all those other factors. And so, can you win that rep on your own without the help from all the other things? And that's why I know some people have compared him in some ways to Nate Solder, because Solder's a guy that they kind of have some similar builds and things like that. And they both wear 77 and they're both tall and white. And so I think that's part of the comparison. But there's that hang on for dear life part of Nate Solder's game that people compare with Miller. And obviously, if he becomes Solder, that's huge for Kolton Miller. And we don't think Solder's an elite tackler or anything.
I think that's his ceiling.
Right. That could be his ceiling. That's obviously great for him. But his floor is a lot lower, at the same time.
I agree. His floor is lower than what I remember of Solder, and I spoke with Duke Manyweather quite a bit. I was like, tell me about Solder coming out. And he said they are kind of similar, but he didn't have the false steps. So that's
big. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty big.
It shows up on all Miller's tapes.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah, it really does. We'll see. We're just kind of scratching the surface right now of this. But scoop cut off again on that inside shade. This is a nice rep. So this is against Memphis. And, you know, he had an up and down tape against Memphis as well, which you don't want to see. And Hawaii we'll get to as well. But this is a good rep, again, similar to what we've seen already multiple times. Works hard to get his hat across here, and just I really like his competitive toughness. That's one of his traits that I do like a lot, and I think a lot of people do as well. You know, and that's kind of what gives people confidence, I think, because he really tries hard. I mean, he gives great effort, and he plays, you know, through the whistle pretty much every rep. And this is a good example. This is a meaningless play. We're going to see this multiple times. Not to him, you know, at the time he's blocking this like it's going to work, but you know, at the same time, this play doesn't go anywhere, and he probably has an idea of that right now.
Yeah.
But I like just that little, you know, that little ability to finish right there, that desire to still kind of go through the rep. Yep. You know, you'd love to see that from offensive linemen in particular. So that's a reoccurring trend on his part that I think is, you know, definitely a positive for him.
Yeah, I agree.
And then, you know, in the run game in general, you know, he's pretty good. You know, I mean, he's not. You know, his technique we'll see a couple times in the run game kind of goes, he just loses it altogether. But like right here, and granted, this is Memphis. This is number 15. This guy's 6'5", 270 pounds. So he's, you know, that's an NFL type size player right here on the inside shade, you know, 4 technique. So we'll see a down angle drive block on him. I really like this ability to sustain this block. This is just a really nice block.
I like how he finds with the left hand, he finds the leverage point under the armpit.
Yeah. Yep.
And he finds a way, you know.
He leverages.
Right. For a big, tall guy, it's good to find those leverage points because you're not, you know, you're going to have good bend, and he does have good bend on this rep, but you got to be able to find those points with your hands too, because let's just face it, you're going to be taller than guys a lot of the time. And, you know, that DN might not have been great or anything, but, you know, that's just a good job to be able to wash him down and find a leverage point and finish the block.
Yep. Exactly. Good rep for sure. So this is what I was just referring to as far as being pretty good in the run game, but sometimes his technique he just loses it. This is a good example. So they're going to run split zone, and he's going to false step out of his stance, and it's going to be kind of an ugly whiff here.
Yeah. I saw this a couple times from him, I think.
So number 97, 6'1", 245 pounds. Playing a 4 technique. He's never going to see anybody really that small in that position. I mean, he might occasionally in the NFL, but so it's a quicker guy, but still, he doesn't come out of his stance effectively right here at all. He false steps. He literally he steps backwards with that inside foot, and his base is super wide right here, and he has no like base of support here to really effectively use his hands.
Right.
He has no balance, and it forces his torso to. He's bending at the waist here, basically.
Yep.
You know, and he's lunging at him, and yeah, that's a whiff. That's definitely a bad. And his man made the play, so it's like you don't want to see too many of those reps against people or players on Memphis, right? You know, unless you know there's like some like Khalil Mack freak guy at Buffalo type of situation, which you know those don't happen often. But underset here, so again the false step causes the underset, which causes him to not be able to get into the half man relationship and hit his set point. So you see it right here out of his stance.
Yeah.
Again, not a good rep.
Yeah, not at all. And this is the kind of stuff that I think, you know, and then the cross chop, you know, you start to lean into guy and then you get your hands cross chopped, and you know, when you're leaning, there's way less effectiveness than when you're delivering a powerful punch from a good base. So as he leans, gets his eyes out and his helmet out over his feet, that cross chop becomes easy. You yank that outside arm down, and then you're at a nice, clean, soft edge for the pass rusher.
Exactly. Yep, and this guy's pretty good, man. I mean, at least in this game. Or wait, no, I don't.
Is that number 6?
Yeah. That is 255.
Yeah, Jannard Avery. Yeah, he's probably going to be a top 75 pick. I don't know if he's an edge pass rusher per se. He might be. A lot of teams like him off ball. He dropped into coverage a lot too, but number 6 is a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, here I am kind of trashing Memphis, but you know, I mean, number 6 is good. I mean, this is an advanced rush right here. I mean, a cross chop, that's something you're going to see from, high-level NFL rushers right there. And that
nice little dip, speed and dip around the edge. That's good though. That's what you want to evaluate. Everybody can say, "Oh, it's a good, it's a good player," but guess what you're going to see in the NFL? You're going to see better rushers than Jannard Avery for sure.
Right.
So that's the kind of level you have to project him against.
Right. Exactly. Again, here just laid out of his stance against Memphis, and really laid out of his stance. I don't even know what happened here.
Right.
But that causes him to just, gosh, that's. Yeah. Some of these reps are hard to watch, man. Yeah. This one, he's laid out of his stance, and he's just lackadaisical, late with his hands, high pad level, and he just gets kind of blown up there and just winds up letting two guys right by him. He's not responsible for both, but the guy that he's responsible for just kind of just moved him out of the way and causes him to do a 360.
He literally turned around. I was wondering why he turned around here. Why is he turned around?
I'm not sure. He's all out of whack right now, man. Yeah. Avery's giving him trouble.
He has some plays like that though, where everything just goes down the crap, real quick. Yeah,
it's funny. Avery kind of ate his lunch in this game a little bit.
Right.
So that's just two times there, but different here. So this is another thing I like about him, though. We could keep going back and forth like this, and I think this is good because it gives people an idea of, we point out the negative, but we're not trashing the guy and just being ignorant to the positive things he does. And this is another thing I think that you could do with Kolton Miller. That reminds me of Nate Solder. This is the type of stuff. Nate Solder was a big 6'9" giant guy who was athletic, and Kolton Miller's, I think, that same type of mold here. And, the play winds up not going for anything, but this is a really nice job of just getting out in space and really hooking that DB and just getting his hips around. If that receiver, is able to not get blown up by that cornerback, that's probably a touchdown, if not a big gain because of what Miller does here. So I like this rep. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, that's a good job.
Just a clean rep. False step again. Oh, man.
Yeah.
That is soft inside shoulder here. The false step causes him to flip his hips over to the sideline, basically. So the false step right here.
Recognizes he's behind early.
Yep. That's a good job by the rusher to just know this and just take advantage. It's an easy inside move right here.
Right.
Because of how square his hips are to the defender rather to the line of scrimmage. And Miller just is unable to recover there.
Yeah.
And this isn't Avery either. This is number 55, who's 6'3", 245, just defensive end rusher, slash linebacker, I think. But, yeah, so this is a rough game, man. This is one of his worst tapes, and it's against some of the lowest competition probably, minus Avery.
Right. You really can't have that. And that you said the Hawaii game has a lot of issues too. Yeah, it does. It's a pretty good block. These aren't great plays, but it's nice to see this, in the run game right here. He's patient and he hooks, kind of a little bit that defensive end and just prevents him from getting to the ball, but keeps his eyes on a different target and moves off and also engages that guy. Mm-hmm. That's a pretty high level run block there, I think. Call that a good to very good rep, even though it doesn't maybe look that special. Right.
Good fit and sustain and finish in the run game here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it's a pretty good rep. It kind of overwhelms him. Again, his hand usage, re-leveraging those.
Right. And that's big here too because, finding those leverage points and, like you said, repositioning them a little bit. But, he'd love to get his head play side maybe in that situation, but you're not always going to be able to. So just, kick him out, control him, roll him when you can,
Yeah, take him. Sometimes that's what you got to do. Just stay on that angle that you initially fit on, that initial fit and just kind of run through that angle.
Mm-hmm. Hope you open up a gap backside of you.
Yep. This is actually, I think, a poor angle to the second level.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to cut off number 35 on the backside. Or no, I'm sorry. Okay. still a poor angle, but he's actually trying to block down and seal on number 7.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he just goes too wide or too far upfield here. You notice I'd like him to probably come more sharp right here down and kind of gets wide here. And yeah,
he kind of dropped his eyes into that block too.
Yeah. Yep. Right here. I mean, he's dropping into the block, but he's not. The fit and the angle is just really bad. He's nowhere near being, square up on that defender.
I think you're almost better off in those situations sometimes, getting to the second level and throttling down to find your guy and get a good fit. A lot of time they go, headhunting and try and earhole these guys and stuff like that, and try and get a big shot on them. Maybe I think you might be better off throttling down, readjusting your feet to their track, and then kind of finding them and driving them from there. Or even just covering them up. Just covering them up's a lot of the time all you have to do at the second level.
Yeah. Yeah, he could have done that. I mean, he comes out, he's so high out of his stance right here. He basically stands up and he's just this giant. He doesn't have a lot of leverage right here at all.
Yeah.
His pad level is great, right here. And he comes too far upfield. That kills him. So he tries to recover. He tries to break down right here and, get in front of him, but he's just at a bad angle, and just unable to recover there.
Again, you like that sustain. It's pretty good.
Yeah. Good overtake on the combo block right here to get his hips around. And then I like what he does here, just kind of takes him upfield. Number 97, again, okay, so this is good context here. I think he's 6'1", 245. So you're not going to see a lot of 6'1", 245 3 techniques in the NFL. So just good context. But still, he's good rep there. I mean, for
that guy looks bigger than 245.
I know he does. I mean, that's what the website says.
Right.
And, he does look a little bigger. And, a 3 technique, it's kind of weird to see.
Right.
The guys.
Weird.
Yeah. But so this is, again, the false steps, the same stuff. And Avery, again, takes advantage.
I'm gonna have to. I might watch Avery next. I've seen only a little bit of it. This is.
Yeah, he's eating his lunch.
Yeah.
Miller's having a tough day. Oh man, I mean, strike timing right here,
right.
And I really think it starts with that false step though. That causes him to just kind of guess. He's guessing in his set right here. He's moving inside. He's reacting inside right here.
Yep.
And then he goes back outside and just totally whiffs on the guy and he just body control there. Patience. That's why patience in your set is so important. And also the false step puts him in. There's just so many. I feel like I'm just pointing out all these errors, but I see a lot of them in this one rep.
Yep.
And Avery's a good rusher. He takes advantage of it. But, all right, new game here. This is actually, so the games are out of order here, but the reps in the game are in order, if that makes sense. So this is the last game of his college career. This is a bowl game against Kansas State. This is, pretty good rep. He's actually blocking down here because of the Bruins run kind of like a G lead, so they're pulling that left guard. Right. So he's blocking down on 99. 99 has a pretty quick reaction outside, so Miller has to go from blocking down to reacting back outside and driving him where the defender wants to go, basically.
Right.
So good reaction, really quick reaction there. Good footwork, and really just cleans that guy out of the hole.
Right.
Out of the way. Yeah, pretty good rep. The run game is definitely the best part of his game, I think.
Yep, agree for sure.
This is the spin one I was referencing earlier. I like the initial recovery here. So that initial outside slap, which I like that outside strike there.
Cross chop.
Yep, right there. Good recovery.
Right.
Gets his hands back in place.
He didn't lose control of his frame.
Right. Exactly. He sustains that really nicely.
Good counter by 51.
Yeah. It was. They're just kind of an effort play. So this one's really cool because they wind up handing it off, and this is a little thing, but just watch him finish this rep knowing that the running back has the ball. little thing, you know, he didn't let him touch his quarterback kind of thing. I mean, I don't know. I just thought throw that in there. Just that's little things I see on tape and I just note it. You know, I'm like, oh, okay. I like the way he's playing.
Right. I like that. Jeez. You said this one to me, I think. This is getting cooked, man.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
The guy gives him a spin move in the run game, which is just ballsy.
Right.
And, you know, for him to do that,
oh my
I mean,
gosh.
he catches him off guard totally.
This is why all my high school kids, when I was coaching, want to do these outside spins. I always tell them not to because it like never works. But the one time it does, it looks pretty sexy.
Right.
Jeez. Vicious.
Yeah, I mean, Miller just is unable to line up his target here. And I think it has to do with kind of his footwork out of his stance here when he has somebody tight on his outside shoulder like that tight shade. I mean, I don't know if this is the ideal initial foot movement with that inside foot to come backwards here.
Right
there. I mean, that doesn't really look like it sets him up for success here. It looks like he's having to recover from that step to get his balance again. And then he also has to strike simultaneously, and he has no balance, and he lunges.
Right.
Missed
Things
again.
get messy.
Yeah, good. So good recovery here despite the false step, and I've seen this multiple times on his tape, being able to recover to rusher. So the false step, you know, still good recovery, good strike timing, good placement. Really nice job there.
Mm-hmm. He knew his opponent liked to spin.
And he probably had an idea that he had inside help here with the left guard, so he could maybe be a little more aggressive. But at the same time, I mean, he gets him so far up the arc that the left guard help doesn't even really do a whole lot here.
Right.
But good rep. All right, so, you know, that's just a little of, you know, Kolton Miller, and I think we kind of touched on, you know, a little bit of everything there, and hopefully people have a good idea of him, and we'll just kind of go right into Brian O'Neill now.
O'Neill used to be a tight end. Yep. His movement skills are phenomenal. His technique and his footwork and strike timing and stuff like that, it all needs a lot of work.
Yeah, I think he really tries to grab people as a pass protector instead of striking at them, you know, striking their frame. He's really kind of, I call it passive kind of with his hands. He's trying to wrap guys up or something, you know, a lot of times at the point of that causes his chest to be exposed, and his play strength is not good. So I think, you know, especially in his anchor, I think it's, you know, on a scale of 1 to 7, I'd give it like a 2 or a 3.
Right.
You know, it's pretty low. So that's going to be probably, I think, his biggest, in my opinion, his biggest issue is his anchor and lack of play strength right away. But, you know, a guy his size, you know, 6'7", 297, he has over 34-inch arms. Same arm length as Kolton Miller, 2 inches shorter. You know, he had the fastest 3-cone and the fastest 40 at the combine. You know, so things like that, you know, are intriguing about him just with the size, the athletic profile in terms of drills. But the best part is it translates on the field, and we'll see that with him. His play speed is excellent, especially in space. I mean, he is some of these clips in here, man, of him in space, how much ground he closes. And, you know, the fact that he ran a 4.82, you know, makes sense because he closes ground in a hurry on defenders. And he's pretty special pulling and getting out in space. So I kind of like him more than Miller because of his trump card is better than anything Miller does, in my opinion.
Yep.
But the strength issue is just, it's really concerning.
Right.
And then some of this hand stuff, you know, like right here, just,
I mean, you're getting destroyed there. I mean, like, in the NFL, he's going to get where, and that's Contavious Street. That's probably going to be,
he's 280, 285.
Right. I would guess he'll be a day 3 type of pick, but he'll be a pick for sure.
Yeah, that's, you know, to catch a guy like that with that size, that natural leverage on the outside. I mean, you got to put on your big boy pants and, like, you know, really anchor against this guy, and you have to have good technique here, though. I mean, that's the thing. It's not just brute strength. You have to be able to engage the right muscles in the posterior of the body. So basically the whole backside, all those muscles have to be engaged at the point of attack, which requires good hip bend, you know, which people like to call it like hip mobility. ankle mobility, stuff like that helps. But at the same time, he gets high at the point of attack here. He wraps his arms around him, and he just gives up his chest, and he has no recovery ability here whatsoever. But really, it's, I think, at the point of attack.
Right.
Can't do that right there.
Yeah. Look, he's basically straight up.
Right.
There's no bend in those knees.
Nope. So he could be better there. Like, that's improvable to a certain extent, in my opinion. But at the same time, it's reoccurring that you will see different levels of this in terms of how I think play strength. It's going to maybe take a little longer. You can't just develop play strength, in a year or something. He's been working in the weight room for 4 years now, and he still doesn't have a lot of play strength. So, it might be a while, but he can help with his technique at least. Again here, hips and elbows. The hip and elbow alignment is critical for good offensive line play when offensive linemen are approaching the point of attack, to have the hips and elbows aligned and the hips or the elbows tight to the body. That's how you can really generate force at the strike. And, that's something that he doesn't do a whole lot of. Like right here, and that's Chubb. So we'll remember that too, but still.
Right.
He just doesn't even touch him, basically.
Right.
And just abuses him.
And this is the kind of stuff that, again, it's going to show. So you see it a couple times a game in college. You're going to see it more in the NFL. And this is where then bad habits develop and they get worse and guys overcompensate. And they get frustrated. And we've seen it with guys like, when we talk about athletic tackles with a lot of potential that aren't really there yet, for sure aren't there yet, it's easy to think of Jason Spriggs because he's been so bad in the NFL. And even though he wasn't a first-round pick, there was that buzz around him coming out because he was this great athlete. He looked the part. He was tough, tatted up guy, and everybody thought, this guy's the real deal. He's going to develop. And and he had ability to develop into a great tackle, but it hasn't happened at all yet. And that's kind of a microcosm of how hard it is at the NFL level to be this pure athlete with all these technical flaws and see those things kind of crumble, when you're not either. I don't want to say they're not giving good coaching because I'm not there, but there's some lack of development that's happening for these players for sure.
Yeah, definitely. They're not getting the, individual attention that they probably need in some regard. And if they are, maybe who knows if they're even seeing it or what. Yeah, like you said, it's hard to, keep speculating on kind of what kind of coaching they're getting or not getting. But either way, he has a lot of technical deficiencies that weren't corrected or he wasn't able to correct that are going to be problems in the NFL. And like the Spriggs thing is interesting. I didn't watch Spriggs a ton, but, I saw him at the Senior Bowl, didn't like him there. And I saw some of his tape and I just, he has a false step. His false step was pretty bad. So that, in my opinion, like Spriggs kind of reminds me of Kolton Miller in that sense, because I see the false step. I don't really see the false step in O'Neal, which is nice, but I see a lot of other things that are issues that are, that's to me, Kolton Miller's ceiling is kind of like, Nate Solder. So I look at him a little bit. And then Brian O'Neal, I kind of see like a lesser Garrett Bowles. And I know we spoke about that. And this type of thing right here, I saw Bowles struggle with a lot as a rookie, having that 5 technique right here, outside shade in the run game, having to get the proper footwork to align this guy and to get your hands on him. That's a difficult thing to do because in the NFL, you're going to see so many different alignments and your footwork has to be a little different on every single one. And in different schemes, in different concepts. So there's a ton you have to learn. And this right here is just a bad angle that he takes. This one right here actually is just an overset, excuse me. But the one prior,
right.
This is just, he just gets too far outside of him and Chubb instantly, recognizes that. That's
a slide, right? You got the 4-man slide going the other way. And
yep.
So then he knows he's got that inside, that inside gap's going to be a little bit compromised. But again, recovery is good with him. He can recover. There's
For
that
sure.
aspect of
he's very athletic.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think
Extremely
it didn't
athletic.
help here. that one technique came outside, and kind of ran into Chubb.
Right. Which I think Chubb would have maybe beat him a little more cleanly there.
Right.
I think
Chubb had to kind of redirect because they weren't on the same page there.
Yeah. Yeah, here's some of the stuff that's really special we're going to get to. in my opinion, at least. Just lining up a target space, good angles, and then just athleticism there. It's just pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, that's a DB. Lining up a DB in space and being able to stay on him for that many yards.
Yeah, he's so fluid out of his stance right here. He's just so quick and light on his feet out of his stance. And that really from the snap there, that right there, that movement, that segment of film right there is really impressive.
Yep.
That's like I guess you can equate that to like the 10-yard dash, in a sense. I mean, because from right here, you're starting square and you just have to run square. And I mean, he just closes ground on that DB, like you said, really quick, kicks him out. Good acceleration,
Yep.
for sure.
You don't find too many offensive linemen who can vary up their stride length once they get into space, and that makes it hard. Because he can do that, it makes it hard for DBs in terms of predicting his movements and how quickly he'll get to them. They don't expect a tackle to be on him as quickly as O'Neal is, so they don't have a lot of time to react.
Exactly. He overwhelms guys at the point of attack a lot in space.
Yep.
Because he just kind of surprises them. That's not a rerun of the last rep.
That's a good point. I was just about to say. It's the same guy. It's the same issue. He gets run right into his quarterback. So we know what the issue is here. We just, we want to show you all the reps, all the look. So we can see, it happens multiple times.
Yeah, we want people to see that this is a trend, and not just one rep, and try to paint
a lot.
They're facing.
Yeah.
What's that?
It happened a lot. And I watched some broadcast cuts of other games, and it happened a lot too.
Yep. This is Chubb right here. I mean, I really like the initial strike that he has here, and I really think this is his athleticism shines right here, in my opinion. To be able to just take advantage of Chubb right here once he realizes he puts himself in a good position, I think, right off the bat. Not a bad way to get out of his stance. He's in a good half-man relationship, gets his hands on him. Again, he's kind of high at the point of attack, but he recovers, opens up that hip, and pushes at the same time and kind of gets Chubb off balance.
I think Chubb may have slipped here a little bit too. It looked like his right foot when it was coming down just never really caught clean.
Oh, yeah.
Looked like it just kind of slid straight back on him. But, I mean, that's what you have to do in that situation. O'Neal didn't fall apart either. He stayed in control, finished the block, got him on the ground, kept him on the ground.
Right. And I think if, there was a false step here or something like that, he may not have been able to in position to recover like this.
Right.
Or to get his hands on him the way that he did. So the pass set with him, I like his pass set. I think that's actually pretty good, which is surprising.
I did too. I really did. I thought a lot of, like you said, the strength, the anchor issues, some of his strike timing things, big concerns, but actually getting out of his stance, I liked way more than I thought I would. Based on seeing him in Mobile, and I didn't get the same ability to really study him closely in Mobile, but based on seeing him there, but that's hard. One-on-ones, you're trying different things. You have so much space to defend, and I don't think that was as good a look at him as the tape was. So I did think he did some good things out of his stance.
Yeah, definitely. It's good to see from a guy who's super athletic to already have a good pass set.
This play right here, man. This was one of my favorites on tape.
Yeah. This is an NFL thing. You see this, Jason Peters, Trent Williams, Tyron Smith.
Yeah.
This is a Trent Williams thing for sure.
Yeah,
pulling him lead in.
Right.
Yeah. Kicking out that DB on the force player out there.
Yep. In the way his body control in space, the way that he latches, he drops the pads a little bit to step into him, but keeps those eyes up. Yeah, it's just really fluid and latches and stays on. I like it.
Yeah, really clean. This is another one here.
Hands are inside, core's tightened up.
Yep, kind of lets off here, but I think he is just assuming that the run would be already broke inside of him right here, but somebody clearly didn't block this guy.
Right. BJ Hill.
So, yeah, but a nice job by him. Great fit. He overwhelmed. Like, this is the thing right here where I say he overwhelms, because the DB is just not expecting this. And he probably should have buried him right there, but he lets him get off him.
Yeah. You can see him kind of swing his hand after, like he's frustrated. And I think you're right. He should finish here. And people say, finish him. Right. Trent Williams this dude would be in the hospital still.
Right.
But that's one of the things that
you
want to see that happen with O'Neal. That's why finishing really matters in these types of spots, because this guy gets off and he ends up getting it on the play. So he could strip that ball from that position. So
right.
And I don't think O'Neal's not tenacious. I think he's tenacious. I just think a little more awareness basically is what he needs.
Right. Yep. Yeah, I think having a little more confidence in himself and his strength. Mm-hmm. And his power, and really just kind of being more aggressive there, I think. Yep. But he is aggressive at other times. I do agree. So this looks really easy, but I mean, really good hand placement at the point of attack here. Good job of getting out of his stance and getting his hips and his head around this inside shade here, this 3 technique. Right there.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, just takes him out of the play quickly. Yep. It's obviously not the key block on this run, but it is, like you said earlier, if all the other blocks were good, that's another just good block there.
Yep. That was one of the big that's BJ Hill. Yeah, he'll be probably a top 100 pick. Okay. I mean, and Hill's playing his gap, too, I think. But yeah, I mean, right. But still, that's what you want, to reach that technique. It's good stuff.
Yeah. Just to get your hips around and just to cut him off. Because while that is, his B gap.
Right. Oh, yeah, that is his B gap. My bad. I was looking at the wrong player.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that is his B gap, but, you don't want to be on that side of the ball.
Right. Yep.
Yeah,
and I'm telling you, there was not many times on tape where you saw BJ Hill get pushed around by anyone. Zone game, gap scheme, whatever it might be. And so, yeah, that's O'Neal has some impressive reps. That was one of the big ones in my notes, this rep. And yeah, so he has some for real ability, but there's a lot of inconsistencies too.
For sure, this game was a clinic on pulling right here by the left tackle. See a little more of that right here. It's like he, from the last one we saw, you definitely see the difference here. More aggressiveness, better finish.
Yep. You're right. This is his trump card.
Yep. This is awesome, man. I mean, this type of stuff right here is, you could be in an NFL offense and somewhere like Washington with just an offensive coordinator or an offensive line coach, an offensive coordinator who run a diverse, blocking scheme, who incorporate a lot of different things. Think of teams that pull their left tackle. And I think generally teams pull their left tackle when they have a left tackle to pull.
Right.
I mean, that's typically how it is. And, I think good offensive line coaches will put him in positions to do this, more often than not, while he, gets everything else kind of on par with, the rest of with this part of his game. Hips and hands. So this is doesn't align his hips and his hands at the point of attack here. And, it's really not, it's not a rep that kills him or, hurts anybody. It doesn't hurt the quarterback or anything. But right here, this isn't an optimal position at all. This is kind of like his technique is gone. He's just reaching at a guy. And, again, it's that tight kind of shade, on him that he's struggling with, as far as lining him up. Mm-hmm. Again, good recovery though, kind of. And that's Street again. So Street's not like correct me if I'm wrong, but he's not, necessarily a speed rusher by any means.
Right. Correct.
Power guy just based on his size. But yeah, so just kind of good and bad there. Again, not a good rep. Street's unable to kind of finish that, but again, good pass set, I think.
Right.
But right here, that's not a good position.
Right. And you titled it perfectly, strike timing and placement, when you're late with your hands and they've already got their shoulders even with yours, you're going to have an issue being able to defend. There's so little surface area there at that point. And Street is not a very bendy pass rusher. He tries to do it here and kind of wipes.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say he won the rep, but didn't finish the rep necessarily, but definitely beat O'Neal again. So that's the thing. I mean, Streets ran down the center of him and probably embarrassed him a little bit twice.
Right.
And now he's going to the outside, and that's throwing O'Neal off. You could see he's almost just kind of late there because he's expecting the power. He's almost just late, and he's like, oh, crap, he's going outside. I got to reach. And that's exactly what he does. He's reaching with his hands, not striking. He gets him off balance. And, But
this was one of my favorite reps from him.
Oh, nice. And, yeah, strike timing. Strike timing here is good, but good jump set.
Hands on.
Mirrored him up the arc.
Yep. He didn't see Chubb the whole game. I know everybody's kind of like, oh, did he just dominate Chubb? I mean, he saw a lot of street during the game. There was, a lot of rotation. The guys were moving around. He had some help on some situations with Chubb, so it wasn't always just him versus Chubb. I know people wish that was how it worked, but it's just not how it is a lot of the time on tape. But he did do some pretty good reps against Chubb.
Yeah, he did. He won some and lost some for sure. It wasn't too one-sided, but yeah, like you said, they didn't see each other a ton.
That was just kind of like a pure athlete hang on for dear life. This was a shoulder rep right here.
Yeah, right here, Chubb has the inside. I mean, but I think he sees that left guard and he's like, screw it, I'm going to go outside.
Right.
But that's not a good position by O'Neal at all. I mean, he's overset. He's giving him up that inside. But again, O'Neal probably is playing to the scheme. He knows he has inside help here. He's going to maybe give him the inside here. So that overset statement by me could be wrong here because it's still not optimal, I don't think. But at the same time, I think that plays into it. And he really knows he just has to protect that outside on this rep, and that's what he does.
And if he's not a great athlete here, he probably gives it up. But he just gets on that hip and just runs because he's in a horrible position. I mean, look, when Chubb works around him and gets even with his hips, I mean, he's getting push-pulled. He's getting yanked down. He's getting dragged basically there, but he stays enough on that shoulder. He's just able to ride it out.
Yep.
Sustained success, no, but he survived.
Right, and that's what the athleticism can do, for him. Kind of save him at sometimes. Thought this was a good rep versus Chubb. I mean, this is big time. I mean, he's on an island here. He has no help.
Right.
And he's jump setting, maybe a top 5 pick right here. So this is a great rep to just kind of look at him, see how he does. Works inside out on him, which I really like. He doesn't overset him here. He makes sure that he kind of tempers that, that aggressiveness that he had prior and really, protects that inside first, forces Chubb to go outside. Good strike timing, placement. Pretty good rep there.
And I don't think he crossed his feet much here either. He's really staying ahead of the rusher, it seems like, with those shuffles. A lot of guys will stop their feet and punch, and they can't get everything to work in unison, and then they'll cross their feet, and even though they might have good strike timing, they can't sustain it if that guy's still moving through that contact. Up the arc, they have trouble sustaining it. So I like that he keeps his feet really active.
Yep. Yeah, he is. I think when people say offensive linemen have great feet, that gets overused sometimes, but I really do think he has great feet. As a pass protector. He's just really light on his feet and he can recover, really well. I just, like we said, the play strength is hard to get over. That's why, I think you just force him down the board a little bit, maybe make him like an early day 3, late day 2 guy, which honestly, I could see him going like day 2 for sure. Cause I don't know how many teams are going to let him go too far.
Right. The way tackles move up the board. Yeah. He's too intriguing. Yeah. Let go too far.
That's a really, really bad rep there.
Yeah.
Tight end alignment help here. And this is 45, I think. Yeah, I don't even know if that's street. But yeah, just I think really, like I said on the header here, just his weight distribution is off. Right here, I mean, I'm not even sure exactly what he's doing, but his balance right here is just to recover inside. I think it has to do with his hips because he really struggles to recover inside right here.
He looks like he's almost throwing a shoulder into the guy. It just looked like he was. I mean, it's so weird.
Like he's throwing a flipper.
Yeah.
Almost kind of.
Right.
Like just a forearm.
Yeah.
Forearm shoulder type thing. And his hand gets outside, but he just gets tossed like a rag doll here too, you know. And I mean, right there, you know, thankfully he had number 90 behind him to catch him because I think he was going on the ground there.
Yeah, and he holds 45 too. I think he grabs onto his jersey to keep himself up.
Yeah, to keep from hitting the turf,
right,
hitting the ground. So they're just getting off balance, weight distribution. It looks like he's a little late there too. You know, I think he oversets that guy too. He gets a little too far outside and he can't recover inside. Just throws off his whole weight distribution there. This is from Draft Breakdown right here, this next clip. But one of the few coaches copy kind of views that we can see here. But another pull and lead. This is against Syracuse.
Sustain. Good job.
Yep.
It's pretty good stuff.
Yep. Can very easily mirror smaller, quicker players in space, which is not something you could say about a lot of guys.
Right.
I really like this play here. I mean, good job of sustaining here. So that's just a late blitzing linebacker here into like the B gap, picks him up. And right here, you know, the guy spins outside, but he does a nice job of being, you know, he's not in phase. It doesn't, I think he just lines up the target pretty nicely right here.
Yeah.
You know,
he's under control the whole time too, you know, like, yeah, he's not overcompensating, you know, like how Kolton Miller would drop his hands there when that guy, or drop his eyes in his hands when that guy started doing that outside spin to try and counter him and stuff. O'Neal just kind of stays mirroring really well and, you know, keeps I feel like his core strength helps him a lot. Like, I feel like there's not a lot of bad weight necessarily on O'Neal. And so because of that, he's able to really kind of just anchor, sustain. He's able to squeeze those blocks. When he gets his hands on a guy, he's able to really control his upper body really well. I think a lot of that goes to core strength. He doesn't get, you know, unless he gets sloppy with his initial contact off the line of scrimmage, I don't feel like he gets like too overextended a lot of the time in those situations where he's working out in space or working against the counter.
Yeah, I think you're right, and especially in space, you know, against guys that maybe be a little smaller. You know, like those natural leverage heavy guys like Street or like Everson Griffin, people like that are going to give him a lot of trouble. But yeah, like you said, there's a lot of good things on that rep, and that's the last rep right there. I mean, I think that gives you know, the people a pretty good idea of Brian O'Neal.
Yeah, for sure. Two guys that are definitely athletic, long, have great, some great traits. You know, some good and some bad from both of them. Things they're going to have to work on. I think the first round hype for both is definitely crazy. You know, second round hype even crazy. But I mean, we know tackles are going to get pushed up the board. We know, you know, that even with some struggles, that's going to happen with them. So I think the key is, can they get in places that fix those things that they do wrong and accentuate what they do right? That'll be key for Kolton Miller and Brian O'Neal. So that's Breaking Down the Big Sexies, episode 2. We'll be back again next week with more great content. Thanks so much for tuning in.